David Rolf Graeber is an American anthropologist, author, anarchist and activist who is currently professor of anthropology at the London School of Economics. Specializing in theories of value and social theory, he was an assistant professor and associate professor of anthropology at Yale University from 1998 to 2007, although Yale controversially declined to rehire him. From Yale, he went on to become a reader in social anthropology at Goldsmiths, University of London from fall 2007 to summer 2013. Graeber has been involved in social and political activism, including the protests against the Third Summit of the Americas in Quebec City in 2001 and the World Economic Forum in New York City in 2002. He is also a leading figure in the Occupy Wall Street movement. Early life: Graeber's parents, who were in their 40s when Graeber was born, were self-taught working-class intellectuals. Graeber's mother, Ruth Rubenstein, had been a garment worker, and played the lead role in the 1930s musical comedy revue Pins and Needles, staged by the International Ludisa Unregistered Trademark Garment Workers Unregistered Trademark Union. Graeber's father Kenneth, who was affiliated with the Youth Communist League in college, though he quit well before the Hitler-Stalin Pact, participated in the Spanish Revolution in Barcelona and fought in the Spanish Civil War. He later worked as a plate stripper on offset printers. Graeber grew up in New York, in a cooperative apartment building described by Businessweek magazine as suffused with radical politics. Graeber has been an anarchist since the age of 16, according to an interview he gave to The Village Voice in 2005. Graeber graduated from Phillips Academy Andover in 1978 and received his B.A. from the State University of New York at Purchase in 1984. He gained his master's degree and doctorate at the University of Chicago, where he won a Fulbright Fellowship and completed his Ph.D. thesis on magic, slavery, and politics in Madagascar. Academia. In 1998, 2 years after completing his Ph.D., Graeber became assistant professor at Yale University, then became associate professor. In May 2005, the Yale Anthropology Department decided not to renew Graeber's contract, preventing consideration for tenure which was scheduled for 2008. Pointing to Graeber's highly regarded anthropological scholarship, his supporters claimed that the decision was politically motivated. More than 4,500 people signed petitions supporting him, and well-known anthropologists such as Marshall Zalins, Laura Nader, Michael Taussig, and Maurice Bloch called for Yale to rescind its decision. Bloch, who had been a professor of anthropology at the London School of Economics and the Collège de France, and world-renowned scholar on Madagascar, made the following statement about Graeber in a letter to the university. His writings on anthropological theory are outstanding. I consider him the best anthropological theorist of his generation from anywhere in the world. The Yale administration argued that Graeber's dismissal was in keeping with Yale's policy of granting tenure to few junior faculty and gave no formal explanation for its actions. Graeber has suggested that the university's decision might have been influenced by his support of a student of his who was targeted for expulsion because of her membership in GESO, Yale's graduate student union. In December 2005, Graeber agreed to leave the university after a one-year paid sabbatical. That spring he taught 2 final classes, an introduction to cultural anthropology and a course entitled OE Direct Action and Radical Social Theory the only explicitly radical-themed course he ever taught at Yale. On May 25, 2006, Graeber was invited to give the Malinowski Lecture at the London School of Economics. His address was entitled Beyond Power Knowledge, an exploration of the relation of power, ignorance and stupidity. This lecture has since been edited into an essay, titled Dead Zones of the Imagination, on violence, bureaucracy and interpretive labor. The anthropology department at the university honors an anthropologist at a relatively early stage of their career to give the Malinowski Lecture each year, and only invites those who are considered to have made a significant contribution to anthropological theory. That same year, Graeber was asked to present the keynote address in the 100th anniversary Diamond Jubilee meetings of the Association of Social Anthropologists. In April 2011, He presented the Anthropology Department's annual Distinguished Lecture at Berkeley, and in May 2012 delivered the second annual Marilyn Strathern Lecture at Cambridge. From 2008 through spring 2013, Graeber was a lecturer and a reader at Goldsmiths College of the University of London. According to the Chronicle of Higher Education, he accepted a professorship at the London School of Economics in 2013. Authorship: David Graeber is the author of Fragments of an Anarchist Anthropology and Towards an Anthropological Theory of Value, The False Coin of Our Own Dreams. He has done extensive anthropological work in Madagascar, writing his doctoral thesis on the continuing social division between the descendants of nobles and the descendants of former slaves. A book based on his dissertation, Lost People, Magic and the Legacy of Slavery in Madagascar, appeared from Indiana University Press in September 2007. A book of collected essays, Possibilities, Essays on Hierarchy, Rebellion, and Desire was published by AAK Press in November 2007, and Direct Action, an ethnography appeared from the same press in August 2009, as well as a collection of essays co-edited with Stevan Shukaitis called Constituent Imagination, Militant Investigations Collective Theorization. These were followed by a major historical monograph, Debt, The First 5,000 Years, which appeared in July 2011. Speaking about debt with the Brooklyn Rail, Graeber remarked, "The IMF and what they did to countries in the Global South, the euro, which is, of course, exactly the same thing bankers are starting to do at home now. A euro is just a modern version of this old story. That is, creditors and governments saying yeah, a euro unregistered trademark free, having a financial crisis, you owe money, obviously you must pay your debts. Theory: a euro unregistered trademark s no question of forgiving debts. Therefore, people are going to have to stop eating so much. The money has to be extracted from the most vulnerable members of society. Lives are destroyed. Millions of people die. People would never dream of supporting such a policy until you say, a euro only. Well, they have to pay their debts a euro." In December 2011, Graeber was reported to be working on a book for Random House connecting the story of the Occupy movement to an exploration of the past and future of direct action, participatory democracy, and political transformation, and another for Melville House combining 3 essays on bureaucracy. He is also working on an historical work on the origins of social inequality with University College London archaeologist David Wengrow. His book on the Occupy movement and related issues was released as The Democracy Project in 2013. One of the points he raises in this book is the increase in what he calls bullshit jobs, referring to meaningless employment. He sees such jobs as being concentrated in professional, managerial, clerical, sales, and service workers. As he explained also in an article in Strike magazine, in the year 1930, John Maynard Keynes predicted that, by century a euro unregistered trademark end, technology would have advanced sufficiently that countries like Great Britain or the United States would have achieved a 15-hour work week. Theory: a euro unregistered trademark every reason to believe he was right. In technological terms, we are quite capable of this. And yet it didn't a euro unregistered trademark happen. Instead, technology has been marshaled, if anything, to figure out ways to make us all work more. In order to achieve this, jobs have had to be created that are, effectively, pointless. Huge swathes of people, in Europe and North America in particular, spend their entire working lives performing tasks they secretly believe do not really need to be performed. The moral and spiritual damage that comes from this situation is profound. It is a scar across our collective soul. Yet virtually no one talks about it. Since January 2013, Graeber has been a contributing editor at the Buffalo magazine in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Since 2011, he has also been editor-at-large in the free online journal HAU, the Journal of Ethnographic Theory, for which he and Giovanni D'Arcol co-wrote the founding theoretical statement. Activism. In addition to his academic work, Graeber has a history of both direct and indirect involvement in political activism, including membership in the labor union Industrial Workers of the World, a role in protests against the World Economic Forum in New York City in 2002, support for the 2010 UK student protests, and an early role in the Occupy Wall Street movement. He is co-founder of the Anti-Capitalist Convergence. In November 2011, Rolling Stone magazine credited Graeber with giving the Occupy Wall Street movement its theme, "We are the 99%." Rolling Stone says Graeber helped create the first New York City General Assembly, with only 60 participants, on August 2. He spent the next 6 weeks involved with a burgeoning movement, including facilitating General Assemblies, attending working group meetings, and organizing legal and medical training and classes on nonviolent resistance. A few days after the encampment of Zuccotti Park began, he left New York for Austin, Texas. Graeber has argued that the Occupy Wall Street movement's lack of recognition of the legitimacy of either existing political institutions or the legal structure, its embrace of non-hierarchical consensus decision-making and of prefigurative politics make it a fundamentally anarchist project. Comparing it to the Arab Spring, Graeber has claimed that Occupy Wall Street and other contemporary grassroots protests represent the opening salvo in a wave of negotiations over the dissolution of the American empire. He is a member of the labor union Industrial Workers of the World and of the Interim Committee for the Emerging International Organization for a Participatory Society. Publications. Books, €1. Toward an Anthropological Theory of Value, The False Coin of Our Own Dreams. New York, Palgrave. ISBN A978-0-312-24044-8A, €. Fragments of an Anarchist Anthropology. Chicago, Prickly Paradigm Press. ISBN A978-0-9728196-4-0A, €. Lost People, Magic and the Legacy of Slavery in Madagascar. Bloomington, Indiana University Press. ISBN A978-0-253-34910-1A, €. Possibilities, Essays on Hierarchy, Rebellion, and Desire. Oakland, California, AK Press. ISBN A978-1-904859-66-6A, €. Direct Action, an Ethnography. Edinburgh, Oakland, AK Press. ISBN A978-1-904859-79-6A, €. Debt, The First 5,000 Years. Brooklyn, New York, Melville House. ISBN A978-1-933633-86-2A, €. Revolutions in Reverse, Essays on Politics, Violence, Art, and Imagination. London, New York, Minor Compositions. ISBN A978-1-57027-243-1A, €. The Democracy Project, A History, A Crisis, A Movement. New York, Spiegel and Grau. ISBN A9780812893561-A, €. Bureaucracy. Melville House. ISBN A978-1-61219-375-5A, as co-editor, €. Constituent Imagination, Militant Investigation/Collective Theorization. Oakland, California, AK Press. ISBN A978-1-904859-35-2. OCLCA 141193537 Articles, Academic, €. Transformation of Slavery, Turning Modes of Production Inside Out, or, Why Capitalism is a Transformation of Slavery. Critique of Anthropology 26, 61 €85 doi, 10.1177/030827506060614884. Retrieved February 15, 2012 A, €. The Divine Kingdom of the Shilluk, On Violence, Utopia, and the Human Condition, or, Elements for an Archaeology of Sovereignty. HAU, The Journal of Ethnographic Theory. Retrieved April 16, 2013. A Euro. Dead Zones of the Imagination, on Violence, Bureaucracy, and Interpretive Labor. The 2006 Malinowski Memorial Lecture. HAU, The Journal of Ethnographic Theory. Retrieved January 21, 2013. A General, A Euro. Rebel Without a God. In These Times. Retrieved February 15, 2012. A Meditation on the Anti-Authoritarian Elements of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, A Euro. Give It Away. In These Times 24. Retrieved February 15, 2012. An article about the French intellectual Marcel Mauss, A Euro. The New Anarchists. New Left Review. Archived from the original on January 30, 2010. Retrieved February 15, 2012. A Euro. The Twilight of Vanguardism. Indymedia DC. Retrieved February 15, 2012. An essay originally delivered as a keynote address during the History Matters, Social Movements Past, Present, and Future conference at the New School for Social Research on May 3, 2003, A Euro. Anarchism in the 21st Century. Z Magazine. Retrieved February 15, 2011. A co-authored with Andrzej Grubasic, A Euro. On the Phenomenology of Giant Puppets, Broken Windows, Imaginary Jars of Urine, and the Cosmological Role of the Police in American Culture. Retrieved February 15, 2012. Originally an address to Anthropology, Art and Activism seminar series at Brown University's Watson Institute, December 6, 2005, A Euro. Army of Altruists. Harper's. Retrieved February 15, 2012. An attempt to solve the riddle of why so many working-class Americans vote right-wing, A Euro. The Shock of Victory. InfoShock News. Retrieved February 15, 2012. A Euro. Revolution in Reverse. InfoShock News. Retrieved February 15, 2012. A Euro. The Sadness of Post-Workerism, or Art and Immaterial Labor Conference, a sort of review. The Commoner. Retrieved February 15, 2012. An assessment of recent trendy autonomous theory, with some comments on the relation of art, value, scams, and the fate of the future. A Euro. Hope in Common. Autonomedia.org. Archived from the original on February 10, 2009. Retrieved February 15, 2012. A Euro. Debt, The First 5,000 Years. Mute Magazine 2. Retrieved February 15, 2012. A Euro. Against Kamikaze Capitalism, Oil, Climate Change and the French Refinery Blockades. Shift. Retrieved February 15, 2012. A Euro. To Have is to Owe. Triple Canopy. Retrieved February 15, 2011. An illustrated essay on the history of debt, containing excerpts from Debt, The First 5,000 Years, A Euro. Occupy Wall Street rediscovers the radical imagination. Guardian.co.uk. Retrieved January 18, 2013. A Euro. Of Flying Cars and the Declining Rate of Profit. The Baffler. Retrieved January 7, 2013. A Euro. A Practical Utopian's Guide to the Coming Collapse. The Baffler. Retrieved February 15, 2014. A Euro. On the Phenomenon of Bullshit Jobs. Strike. Magazine. Retrieved August 19, 2013. A Euro. What's the point if we can't have fun? The Baffler. Retrieved February 15, 2014. A Euro. Caring Too Much. That's the Curse of the Working Classes. The Guardian. Retrieved April 12, 2014. A Euro. Savage Capitalism is back. A Euro, and it will not tame itself. The Guardian. Retrieved May 31, 2014. References. Further reading, Sutton, David. Anthropology's Value, S. A Review of David Graeber's Toward an Anthropological Theory of Value. Anthropological Theory 4, 373 €379 doi, 10.1177/14634996040428118 Gaia, Jane I. On possibility A response to a Euro. How is anthropology going? A Euro unregistered trademark. Anthropological Theory 9, 355 a Euro 370 doi, 10.1177/14634996093581143 External links, Academic profile at Goldsmiths, University of London, interview to Markthwaite, works by or about David Graeber in libraries, David Graeber at the Internet Movie Database, David Graeber, profile, The Guardian, In Conversation, World of Debt, David Graeber with Spencer Woodman, The Brooklyn Rail, David Graeber Reddit questionnaire, David Graeber, anthropologist, London School of Economics, video, dailymotion.com.